Hello, this is Mr. Huff, and we need to go through and do some site setup. So if you look at this map, you will see some things that you need to add. One of the first things I want to talk about is this legend here. Okay, so if we look at this, we see that we have some lines and what they mean. So if it's labeled SW, it's stormwater. G is underground gas line. D means it's a water line. This is where you get water for your house for drinking and washing and that sort of thing. UT means underground telephone lines. That would also be like cable and things like that. And then we also have fiber optic lines, which are labeled UF, underground fiber. SS is sanitary sewer lines. This is your black sewage that gets taken to treatment. OE is overhead electrical lines, so these are the power lines in the neighborhood. And then there's some other pieces on here, but these are the main things you need to pay attention to. All right. Another thing I wanted to point out is there is a building line. Let's zoom out a little bit. So one of the things I want you to pay attention to is this building line. Notice it is 25 feet from this edge. From here to here is 25 feet. From here to here is 25 feet. From this edge of the property into here is 25 feet. And along this alley, you have more leeway. So you have 10 feet between the building line and your property line. Okay. So let's look at some other things we need to think about. I think that's it. So the things we want to add a arrow that shows where north is. I want you to scale this building line. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. And you have to show me the connections between, then you've got to place your house on this property in a place that makes sense to you. Keep in mind, this is the south face, and that's where you're going to want most of your windows pointing. This would be probably the back of the house, where you're going to define, where you would have like pull in and that sort of thing. But really, I'm more interested in connections. So how are you going to connect your house to this sanitary sewer line? How are you going to connect your house to this water line? How are you going to make sure that those two connections are at least 10 feet apart? How are you going to connect it to these overhead power lines? How are you going to connect it to this gas line? Okay, so let's look at the assignment. What I'm going to do is give you a Google slide to fill in, and let's go look at that. So it's going to look a little bit like this. This will be something you get. I set the image of the map as a background. It was missing the sanitary sewer line, so this is a line that will move around, so don't click on it. If you do, put it back over the SS. And we've added the water line here and the sanitary sewer line there. We have in the back here the overhead electrical going down the side. And we also have the gas line here that we're concerned about. So first thing you need to do is set this little box right here. You can grab it. You're going to define your building lines. Try to scale it according to the size of this lot. So I'll let you may have to do some math and conversion, or you can just eyeball it. So this lot is 148 feet along this line, and then 148 feet from this corner to this corner. So it's 148 foot square. So you need to figure out how to get this box to be 25 feet from this side, 25 feet from this side, 25 feet from this side, and 10 feet from this side. Get that box placed in here somewhere. Okay. Use these shapes here. You can make more Control C, Control V and adjust the size, but you're going to use these to represent the shape of your house, where you would build it, keeping in mind that it should match your floor plan you designed in Homestyler. And so you're just going to kind of simulate the outline there, placing that house roughly to scale in this area here inside the build line. Okay. Then we're going to use these lines to represent the connections. This matches the sanitary sewer line. So you're going to drag this and connect it to the sanitary sewer line and drag it to your house and show where that would come into your house. You're going to grab this blue line, which matches this blue line, and you're going to show how you would connect to this line here, which is the water main. So it's got to connect on this line, dotted line somewhere. So you're going to have this connection, between this line and your home. And you need to keep in mind that it has to be 10 feet or more from the sanitary sewer line. You have a potential of contaminating your water if they're closer than that. Use this red line to show the connection between the overhead electrical to your home. So if you're more on this side of the lot, then you're going to want to use this one. If you're more on this side of the lot, you're going to use this one. Okay. So just drag it from there to connect to the edge of their house. In your floor plan, this is where you would consider your service panel and meter being. So you would connect it to where your meter is, and then your service panel in the house should be pretty close to that. The last one we're going to connect, we're going to have gas in this house. So we're going to connect this this golden line here between the line labeled G to your home, okay? And this is where the gas would come into your home. I think as far as plumbing, we're only going to consider flow of water, but this would also be in your plumbing plan when you're done, so to represent those. So basically, you're going to move all of these shapes onto here, scaled and showing the connections for your site, okay? So that's all there is to this one. When you're done, you'll export it as a PDF and turn it in.